This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I bloomin' love kit bashing, and what better than to put the new Cities of Sigmar through their paces by bash them together and making something cool. I mean, I also like the Empire of the Old World and the Astra Militarum, also known as Imperial Guard. So why not smash all the kits together and make something truly unique? Behold! New old hammer of the 41st millennium. That's what we're doing today. But what are we going to kit bash, I hear you ask? Well, fear not, I'm going to tell you. Well, I've got some ideas anyway, at least. I mean, it could be anything. It could be a new Astra Militarum regiment. It could be, I mean, using the design aesthetic, it could be one of those cool knight household bodyguards, the men-at-arms that will hang around with the knights. It could be some inquisitorial warband. We could even do like Necromunda, because we all know every model's a Necromunda model. Or you could even make your favourite character from Raid Shadow Legends. You guys know the score. It's a Raid Shadow Legends sponsored video. You know that game me and Pat can't stop talking about and playing and constantly use for colours and conversion ideas? Yeah, it's one of them. Raid are introducing a brand new rarity of champion called Mythical. They're so awesome they can metamorph. Something a little like this. Mythical champions are basically two champions in one. They change between forms with unique metamorph skills. Summon these awesome mythical champions from brand new red primal shards in the portal. A mythical champion's two forms both use the same artifact, accessories, masteries, and blessings, so be careful when you're choosing how to use them. These mythical champions are the most versatile champions ever seen in Raid. You can tailor your playstyle and create synergies across both forms. Like free stuff? What about the legendary champion, Sun Wukong? Raid's take on the Monkey King. Just log in on 7 different days between now and October the 23rd to get your hands on him. No demons to slay or journeys to the west to undertake here. Just log in and get this awesome legendary champion for free.
Apologies, my voice has gone a little bit strange there. This month also sees the return of Prime Gaming drops in-game, so Amazon Prime members can earn themselves some special in-game goodies. I think my voice is going back to normal now.
With all this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses. We are talking an epic champion, Drake, from the Lizardmen faction, and other useful things like energy refills, skill tomes, and XP boosters. So once you're in, crushing and slaying your enemies, come find us under the painting phase, and if you're quick enough, you can join our clan. So just hit the link in the description, and we'll see you on the battlefield. So we've got our Cities of Sigmar sets. The first thing I'm going to do with these is just build up some base bodies, because I don't want the heads, don't need the swords and the shields. So I'm just going to get a few actual bodies just built up, including some bases, and then I'm going to take it from there. So the base body's now built up, what I'm now going to do is just get myself some bits that will theme them into that nice 41st millennium vibe. So what I've got here is some Deathcore Krieg parts, I've got some Cadian parts, just lots of random bits from all my 40k stuff that I've collected over the years. Sometimes when you are kit bashing, if you leave it on the sprue, you'll have the numbers, which is fine, because then you can go, oh, this gun goes with that arm, etc. Because I'm a bit of a mentalist like that, I tend to put them all into a bag, and then I just have to work out later on which bits are what. But it didn't take that long, and as you can see, with this auto gun and the drum mag, it's actually quite straightforward. I just ended up finding the right arm to go with it, and it was fine. So sometimes it does take a little bit more time to find bits, but then that adds to the whole kind of kit bashing side of stuff as well. It's kind of cool, and it sometimes encourages you to try different poses as well. Now the great thing with the Cities of Sigmar stuff is there's a variety of shapes and sizes. You got like some slightly portly folks, some stocky ones, and then some very slight and petite ones, maybe small skinny folks, maybe females, who cares? But you've got a variety of different body types, and some of those might influence which weapons go where as well. So that's something to bear in mind when you are kit bashing Cities of Sigmar to being something else. Now the other thing when you're doing any kind of kit bashing is have a bit of a narrative going. I mean, like I said at the start, I wasn't quite sure if I'm going to do this as an Astra Militarum regiment or like some kind of kill team or whatever, but you have a bit of an idea what you want to do with each pose or each character. That really helps and lends into the actual kit basher conversion. So we've got like the lady with the 2 swords, for instance. We really wanted a close combat expert. This is probably going to turn into a kill team, knowing me. I'm just going to turn this into a cool, weird, feudal world Imperial Guard regiment that's going to be a kill team. So she's going to be like the weapons expert, and then you've got the guy with the big plasma who's just like the beefcake of the squad, the tank, and he just goes around and melts stuff. And then there's like the guy with the dagger who goes in for like close support and just stabs people. He's quite cool. He's a bit deadly. And then we've got the Sister Battlehead that fits on that one with the autogun. I thought that looked cool. I was actually genuinely surprised that the sister battle head would fit on these, and it was perfect. So kudos to the Cities of Sigmar kits that literally the most heads that are human-esque, not Space Marines, fit perfectly with these. So I'm well chuffed with this kit so far. It's amazing. We've got a few built. I'm happy with the poses. As I said, this probably turned into a kill team, and what is good and proper with doing any kind of painting is to do a test model. So we're going to do a test model, but what I am going to do is to get into those old Hammer vibes, is doing the colour scheme of Middenheim. That's one of the two. It's Midden. Somewhere in the middle. So we're going to move on to painting our figure, and we're going to start with a grey undercoat. Sometimes if you can't decide what colour scheme it's going to be, and you're like, oh, do I start with dark colours? Do I start with like a really light undercoat or anything? Just go middle, go grey, because then you can go either way quite easily. It's less of a jump. So first up is picking out the blue, and for this I'm going to be using medium blue. So that's just going to go on the tabard and on the sleeves. In some places you might want to do a second coat, but to be fair, this AK medium blue covers really well. Then I'm going to pick out the whites. So this is mainly going to be the trousers and like some sigils around as well, like on the chest piece. Looks a bit like a musketeer kind of symbol. I quite like that. I'm using white grey for this. Again, a few coats. I'm also going to paint all the way down. So they've got boots on. I'm going to paint them like gaiters that you'd probably expect to see like with Napoleonic forces, like the French. Then I'm going to pick out any silvers with oily steel. So I'll coat the whole gun because I've not decided how I want to do the gun yet. So I'm just going to paint the whole thing silver and then pick out the armour as well, including the helmet. Then for any brown leathers, mainly the belts, pouches and stuff like that, I'm just going to be using brown leather or leather brown. It's brown and it's leathery. Then for any black details, we're going to use rubber black, just the little shoes poking out the bottom, as well as the gun case. And I've decided I will go with black gun casing on this. So using that here as well. Then for the skin, I'm going to move on to that now. And I love cork, so I'm going to use that for the flesh tone. You can use any skin tone you want. I just really like cork. It's very bronzed. Red details, mostly the piping around the sides. I'm using dirty red for that. Then last up, for the tabletop standard, I'm just going to use Black Knight, which is one of the deep shades. I'm going to apply that all over. I often thin this down, as I'd rather apply multiple thin coats than one big, thick, dark coat, because you've got more control that way. And at that point, our model is now tabletop ready. I'm happy where the colours are. Sometimes when you're doing like test models, you might want to like tweak things and change things, but as test models go, I was pretty happy with where this is going. So on to the next steps, which is just some highlighting and picking out some details. Now, after you've done a shade, the first thing I often like to do is just use all the previous base coats just to tidy up. You don't have to go mad, it's just like some of the raised areas. So I'm just going to work through that now, just picking out like the blues and the whites and the browns and the silvers, just popping those colours out a bit more. So you basically get a second tone from a colour that you used as a base coat. For the blue, I'm then going to highlight that with Ducat blue, just picking out those folds of the cloth. Now, I did use cork just to tidy up the face. I didn't actually highlight that any more than I needed to. I mean, you can if you want to. He has got a massive, great big face mask in the way, but I didn't need to worry about that. For the leather, I'm using cork again because I've already got that colour at hand, and it's a really nice kind of tone for highlighting leather. So I'm just going to go on the leather parts and pick that out. Then I'm going to get some dirty red again. I didn't use dirty red when I was doing the tidy up stage, and the reason for that is I'm going to just tidy up now on those red bits, just a bit more punch, because I was unsure if I wanted to go for a brighter red instead, but I'm happy with dirty red. Then I decided it needed some more red on it, and this is sometimes the thing when you're doing test models. You start putting colours on, you think, it needs a bit more, or is that too much? Do I need the red? Well, actually, I quite like the idea of the red being on there, but I needed to add it elsewhere, and I decided I love stripes on helmets and shoulder pads, certainly for like Gene Stealer cultists and Astra Militarum. So I went with that. Nice big chunky stripe down the shoulder pads, and then one on the helmet as well. Now the key thing when doing the helmet or any stripes is if you make mistakes, which I did do here on the helmet, I had a bit of a wibbly wobbly section on one side. It was just a bit too broad and went at an angle. That's fine because I can get the silver tidy back up with that. But a top tip for any kind of like stripes and stuff when you're freehanding it is just chip in with the underneath base coat. So in this case, it's the silver. So if you think it's looking a bit wibbly wobbly in places, once you start chipping up, it actually camouflages errors. So it plays a little trick with the mind. So that's a top tip, is when you do stripes, chip around the edges. It makes it look straighter and neater than it possibly actually is. Clever, I know. So pretty much now I'm happy with this colour scheme, loving the look of it. That red spot colour added on those stripes really helps as well. So it's time to base. And I really like wet ground, just that muddy swampiness and the shininess of it. I just think it looks great. So I'm going to use some wet ground. And also it's really quick and easy because you don't need to like wash it and dry brush it. You just apply it, leave it to dry, and it looks wet and goopy. Perfect. So I'm going to use that. swamp it over, swamp it all over the base, and then I'm going to get like my brush, my battered old brush, and just move some of that and stab it around the legs as well. Just add a little bit like dirt that's been kicked up around those lovely white gaiters that this man is wearing. And then after that, we're going to get some grass tufts on it. Now, top tip, I didn't do this in this video, and I was telling Pat when we were filming. So when you are going around the edges and you paint the rims, there is a chance that some of that grass will go on there, and you'll end up, if you're not paying attention, you'll be stuck in it. It just gets really frustrating and annoying. So do the texture on the top of the base, paint your rim, and then do your grass tufts. That is a top tip. Didn't do it here because I got carried away, because sometimes that happens when you're doing a test model. But learn from my mistakes, people. Learn from them. Don't be a peach. So we've kitbashed the model. We've done a test model. I'm pretty chuffed with it. It's probably going to be a kill team. And I've decided that as this is our third raid sponsored video, it's going to be the third Tellarian, which is one of the alliances for the factions, third Tellarian Fusiliers. So somewhere in the galaxy, probably on the Eastern Fringe, fighting against Chaos and Tyranids, are the third Tellarian Fusiliers, which is great. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, do consider joining our Patreon, because we have a great community. You get to see our videos early. Sometimes you even get to like choose some of the videos we're doing. We do polls and all sorts of random stuff on there. So do consider joining it. It really helps support us. Also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe down at the bottom. That also helps. For the algorithm, we always got to shout that out. Also, we've done some videos on kit bashing and making up your own chapters as well. So do check those out. So they might be up here somewhere. But yes, thank you very much for watching this, putting up with me waffling about kit bashing and painting, and also wearing weird outfits for doing a Raid Shadow Legends video, which was great. Love it. Until the next time, for the algorithm! I don't know why I shouted that. And don't forget to use our Raid Shadow Legends link in the description, or scan the QR code to get insane bonuses for new players with an epic champion.